Hello and welcome back to that Eurovision site, Eurovision with a Slice of Life. It's Kittens here with Jess, my bestie. I finally convinced her to be on a video with me. Today we're going to be discussing the rehearsals for the Big Five and for Sweden. We have only seen first rehearsals. It's Friday night. So our reactions are going to be based on that and the photos and the information that we've seen about the performances. So let's let's get started. So we're going to be talking about Sweden, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and the United Kingdom. So we'll start with Sweden. Jess, what did you think about Sweden?
I'm really glad. It seems that they've used a lot of elements from their Melody Festival and performance, which I'm really excited about. That's including the kind of grates that are on the side of them that move slowly outwards throughout the performance. And they seem to have gone with the same outfits from Melody Festivalen as well. And it kind of gave me, if it isn't broken, don't fix it kind of
Yeah.
vibes, which I'm really excited about. I think they're really amazing performers, and I feel like the staging was already really good. It didn't need anything too much doing to it other than putting it on a much bigger stage.
So yeah, I agree. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This always was a good performance in Mellow. They are really established performers. They know exactly what they're doing. This is exactly what you expect from somebody who's been, yeah, some people who've been on stage since the age of 12. So, you know, I don't think there's going to be any problems. I still don't know how much it's going to wow people. Like it's very slick, it's very well done, but is it gonna like it's the age-old problem of is it too slick to catch people's attention? It's just gonna be like, yeah, that was perfectly fine and move along kind of thing. So I don't
Yeah, I think it's difficult because obviously we listen to the songs a lot more before your casual Eurovision fans who watch on the night and kind of nothing else. We've had time for these songs to kind of grow on us and enjoy them a bit more. And I know this song in particular has been a bit more of a grower on people than some of the other songs that hit you straight away. So that is a little bit of a concern. The other thing I thought was that the LED effects with the animations look really good. The text bit of it, where they've got all, I think it's all numbers, that felt like a lot on so many different screens. Because they obviously had a much smaller stage at Melody Festivalen. And I didn't know if it was needed to have it on so many screens. The animations, just sort of the moving colors and that kind of thing, I thought that looked really good and worked really well with the music, but just that text bit felt like a lot all in your face.
I think it'll come down to how they put it in the edit and what the camera shots actually look like in the end. But this is SVT to SVT channel, they are gonna know what they're doing. And I'm kind of like, it's what I expected. I'm not wowed. I'm not the disappointed. But they're two really good performers who can really carry it. So
I think it'll come down to the night, won't it?
it will. And obviously for the first time we will start seeing these artists in the semi-finals, obviously not voting.
Not the final.
Um
Yeah.
so we will see that earlier on, and see if that has any effect on their voting or otherwise. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure, considering how popular these two are, there are going to be, they'll pick up lots of fans on the night, but there will also be people who will be voting for them from every country, regardless.
And I
Um,
think they'll have a fun time with it because they really enjoy it and it's a good home entry, I think.
yeah, they are an absolute riot, those two, and you can see them just having a great time. You know, whatever happens for them, this is just a great thing to have happened. Shall we move on to France?
Yeah.
So Slimane, Mon Amour. What were your thoughts, Jess?
So I have really enjoyed this song since it came out, and it came out really early in kind of the Eurovision year. I know that people have been a bit hit and miss on it, but I feel like whenever I see Slimane perform, it doesn't need all the frills and the bells and the whistles. It kind of just needs him showcased for the amazing voice he has. And I feel like France have done a really good job in staging it that way. It feels really stripped back. There's kind of nice elements like the smoke and the wind that feel really good with it. Even his outfit, all in the white, is really simplified. And I think they've done that on purpose because he is an incredibly talented and powerful singer. And I'm quite excited to see how that comes across on the nights, and see how people at home feel about it, really.
I think the one thing that we haven't seen before from this performance is what happens seemingly at the start, although obviously we're just working on 30-second snippets here. I can't quite tell how it's going to work. But the bit where he's on the floor and kind of kneeling and looking into the camera, that could be like a really interesting moment. I mean, it certainly could be an interesting moment in the arena, but equally, this is a show for TV. It's not a show for the arena. So you know, it's going to be interesting to see like how that pans out because I don't think we've seen it like that in a performance so far. He's always been standing from the start. So clearly they've thought about how it's going to work on TV. um, I mean, I am less wowed by the song. I think he's a great performer. And obviously he was gonna keep in the step back from the mic moment. That was kind of inevitable. I do wonder how that's gonna work with a crowd in the arena, whether they're gonna have to do something interesting to get people to be quiet. But there's only time will tell on that. I mean, it's pretty solid, and most of it is not it's not stuff we haven't seen him do before. He's gonna deliver on the night. He's delivered so far. He's gonna do his thing.
Yeah, and I think with that bit where he's on the ground and looking into the camera, I wonder if that will help kind of build that connection with the audience at home a little bit more, because I agree that's something we haven't seen. I think some people are not connecting with him, and I think that that bit on the floor gives him that opportunity to do that a little bit more, because I don't think anyone can deny how talented he is. Especially with the step back from the mic moment. Although I agree, in an arena, I wonder how effective that will be. But again, it's for television, isn't it? So they can do a lot of very interesting things to make that work for television. I think it's a very solid song and a solid choice for France. I don't know if it would be my winner, for example, but I'm certainly not disappointed by it so far.
Mm. Let's move on to Germany.
Hmm.
So we're talking about Isaac with Always on the Run. Um, so we've got quite an interesting staging here, which was a surprise for me for Germany. They've got like a whole house thing going on. There's a lot of fire on stage. There's it. I was not expecting to have like some quite significant staging on this stage. They've definitely done more than I was expecting. Um, Whether I like it or not is another thing, but they've definitely delivered more than what I was expecting.
Mm. I think with this one, I kind of had the opposite feeling, where I felt like the staging has kind of gone almost the opposite from, say, Lord of the Lost staging, where it was very big and extravagant and a lot of pyro and that kind of thing, to being very stripped down, but in a way that it feels stripped down but overcomplicating it, if that makes sense. So they've got him in this very odd short chair at one point, and it's a song about always being on the run, and that felt really odd to me, the juxtaposition of he's sitting down but the song is about always being on the run. So that felt a little bit weird for me. I'm really glad that they've updated his outfit to be a bit more purposeful than some of his performances previously. That's nice to see. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to connect with people at home. I think the song, I really enjoy the song, and I think he can certainly sing it really well live. Um, but it felt like a lot of fuss that maybe was a bit too much for what the song is.
I feel like I'm really glad that he does not have to survive a televote. Um, I think this is gonna it's gonna pick up points with the juries. I feel like it's more likely to pick up points with the juries. Um, but it's an interesting year and you really don't know what's gonna go down. Um, I don't know if the whole apartment thing on stage is just gonna, like, distract from him. I mean, his performance at, the national final was very stripped back, very bare, just kind of like him on stage doing his thing, and that showcased his vocals clearly enough for him to get through to Eurovision. Um, so I don't know. I really don't know. I think we'll have to see a longer clip, longer footage to see whether this is actually cohesive when it comes to the final show because I am so on the fence with this right now. I am glad that Germany are actually putting some thought into staging, but I cannot tell right now whether they've gone too far the wrong way, you know?
Yeah, it's a really odd one, isn't it? Because there are certainly performers where you expect quite a lot to do with staging, like say Sweden with Marcus and Martinez. I don't know that people are expecting there to be a load of different staging elements with this song, because again, I don't know how much they will distract from his ability to perform this song. So it'll be really interesting to see how it goes down.
Yeah. Let's move on to Italy. So Angelina Mango with La Noia. Um, do you want to go? Go first?
Yeah, so I love this song, and I've loved this song since seeing it performed at San Remo. And I always knew that it would be fairly different on stage at Eurovision than it is at San Remo, just because of the nature of that kind of competition.
Yeah.
I really love how they've gone with using the LED screens with all the different flowers and animations in the background, but it feels like they're not too much. So there's parts of the song where they've kind of pulled it back a bit more and let her sing, and parts where it kind of goes full flower power madness in the background. But I'm not mad about it. And I think that the outfits are really cohesive, but it's very clear who is the performer, who is the artist. I think that's been done really well.
See, I think we're gonna differ on this because I feel that it is far too busy. I feel like there's so much going on, like her outfits, the backgrounds, the other dancers. Like I love that she's got dancers and I love that she's not alone on stage. That feels like a great choice for me. Um and I love that it pulls back to just like her on her own for like the solo like a cappella bit. But I feel it's kind of busy. The When you've got outfits like that with so much going on the outfits and then a similarly really busy background, I am just like,
A bit overwhelming.
yeah, it's a bit like I don't know where to look. And honestly, she is such an engaging performer. I mean, if you can do what you're gonna do at San Remo in just like I forget even what her outfit was because I was so distracted by her performance. But some sort of bodysuit type thing at San Remo, and that's it. I kind of feel like, do you need all of this?
Yeah, so I feel like it's very inherently Italian, because a lot of their fashion choices include quite big statements with print and color. So for me, I think that's why it works, because it's very inherently culturally Italian. But I can understand why it would come across as really busy for your average person that doesn't kind of have that kind of context.
I
And
think
there are certainly parts of the song where they've got kind of the sparks on the waterfall at the back and the pyrotechnic, where on top of all the flowers, it is a lot, but this is also Eurovision. So maybe a lot is the right amount.
I mean, I would have gone for a plainer background with the busy outfits and the throne thing, whatever that is. We don't really know, we haven't really seen that properly. Um, so I would have gone with a plainer, simpler background, but it's just there is a lot going on here personally, and I'd love to see just one or two of those elements calm down a little bit. Which we don't know, by second rehearsal might be changed. So we don't know what's going to happen.
It'll be
Um,
interesting to see.
yeah. But yeah, for me personally, there's a lot going on. It's a bit busy. Um, so yeah. Moving on to Spain, Nebulosa with Zora. Um, I'll go first. I mean, this is basically the Benidorm Fest staging adapted for the Eurovision stage, and they've actually adapted it quite well to the Eurovision stage. I think, they're obviously using the cubes, using the kind of the keyhole kind of like iconography that they've used in Benidorm Fest. Um, I like to see people using the stage as long as it doesn't distract from what it is. So I'm pretty happy with it. The guitar, I love a guitar. Carrying on the
Yeah,
spirit of Voyager. Um, and otherwise there's not much change, and I'm kind of happy with that. They did a great job at Benidorm Fest. So your
yeah,
thoughts?
I think it's really nice seeing Benidorm Fest kind of bigged up on a bigger stage, but not in a way that feels like it's still really small on a massive stage. It feels like they've expanded it to fit the stage really nicely. And we know that Nebulosa has such a big personality, and I think it fills the stage. She looks really confident with all of that staging. She doesn't look bothered or phased by it at all. The colorways are very similar, as we say, to Benidorm Fest with the red and the black, and I think they're really strong. And as you say, it's really nice seeing the stage being used, the cubes being used, having that lift off and then revealing Nebulosa. So I'm really excited to see what it'll look like in full. And I hope it goes down well, because it certainly did at Benidorm Fest with those who were there as well as those who were at home. So it's very exciting to see that kind of go down, really.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that's going to go down with the wider public. But I think people will get it, I think, with this staging. They may not get I don't know that we have enough to see the message of the song. But again, we've not seen everything. So we may not be seeing something. So it's hard to tell. But
Yeah, and I think
regardless,
there's
it's a fun song.
Yeah, and I think there's benefit in a lot of the different countries having their own commentators who will explain things like this is what the song's about, and trying to entice their viewers into understanding a little bit more than perhaps they would just from a song in a language they might not understand. So it'll be interesting to see if they connect with it in a way that other people have and the Spanish public have.
Yeah. Shall we move on to last but certainly not least, Ollie Alexander for the UK with Dizzy. This was I don't know how I was thinking this was going to get staged, but this was not on the list. I'm not unhappy about it. Apart from the
Yeah, I
fact
was
that I
expecting.
apart from the fact
Sorry.
that I feel like I might throw up. Um sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think I was expecting something similar to the way it was, and obviously this is a very different show, a lot of people might not have seen, but something similar to the staging that they did on Saturday Night Takeaway, with kind of a rotating platform and different elements. And they've gone a completely the opposite direction. It's that box that they're all in with the dancers, with the red, white, and the black. I'm with you. I'm not mad at it at all. And I feel like they've got enough of the dizzy element, even with it being a box and not, a circular platform. where hopefully it won't make too many people feel sick. Obviously, there's still a little bit of motion involved and then the effects in the background. But I think what they've done is captured the dizzy element without it being just going round in circles.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried that they were gonna make it like the music video, where you've got the rooms and stuff that are and the platforms that are moving around. Um, this was not what I was expecting. I think I did, just like everybody online, a big collective gasp seeing it yesterday and just going, "Ho, ho, ho, ho." And, I love to see the fact that Ollie is probably gonna make a lot of people angry, with the staging, and with Ollie's boys. Um, I kinda love to see that.
Yeah,
Do it for the UK. We got this. Um, Ollie seems really comfortable on stage. The staging is complicated and requires a lot of accuracy in the camera shots and a lot of accuracy from the dancers for sure. Um, but they seem to have this down, and I think it's gonna give that dizzy energy without being, dare I say it, a Leslie Roy moment, a Maps moment where the staging takes over from the actual song.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the chemistry between him and his dancers is really good, really nice that that's coming across. And I'm glad they've thought about how it is going to look on TV because obviously there's going to be an arena of people, but the people who vote are going to be at home. And it's kind of nice and a little bit different to see the BBC considering that in the
Mm.
way they've staged it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how it's received, but I am very pleasantly surprised with what they've done. I think it's gonna come out, and surprise a lot of people. And I think it's gonna kind of really give it that little lift that I think this song needs.
Yeah.
Um, as much as I really enjoy Dizzy, I think it does need that little lift, to give it something super, super memorable. And, the reaction from yesterday to everybody, I think was just like, so I'm really glad to see it.
Yeah,
Right.
me too. And it doesn't give you the like your basic kind of feel at all. It's really well thought through and put together.
They've invested in this. I love to see it. The pe the people who are working on this, congrats. Whatever the result, you've shown us that you definitely wanna put in the effort. Right. Um, any last words on our Big 5 and hosts before we sign off?
I'm just excited to see the full performances now. It's really given me a flavour of what's to come and it makes me really excited.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how they work within the semi-finals as well. So I mean, we do have the early voting effectively happening as well, so I imagine that's quite a reason why they worked into the semi-finals. Um, but I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how, or if, this kind of changes anything for the Big 5. It's gonna be an interesting year.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of the recap. Thank you very, very much to, Jess for joining me. If you enjoyed this recap, um, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, be notified when we have a new video coming out. Also, be sure to follow us on social media at That Eurosite, Twitter, Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, Tumblr, and Instagram. And be sure to check out That Eurovision podcast on all streaming sites as well. All that's left to say is thank you very much to Jess for being here.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
and thank you all for watching. Kittens out. Bye.